Are you guys able to see my screen? Just want a confirmation.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can.
Wow, okay, good stuff. Okay, good. Thank you very much for joining today evening. For taking your precious time out of your busy lives. I know it's kind of a little bit cold evening today in Toronto area. So I thought I'll put a webinar together. I did this previously as well. I got a very good response from people who attended. So my whole idea here is to provide some value if you are looking at investment in real estate. So I'm going to talk about some mistakes that I see a lot of investors do, and I'll go through my presentation one by one, and we'll have interactive session. Basically, I don't want this session to be just me talking. I want you to put down your questions, say hello in the chat, with the names where you are from, and then we can go from there. Put your questions there, and I'll keep on going into the chat from time to time to answer your questions. So this webinar is all about how to not screw this up, like when you're kind of looking at investment, right? So again, like I said, I want it to be interactive. Camera on or off, your choice. Find the chat box, say hi. Also it's raise button if you want to kind of talk about anything, asking any questions kind of, verbally, you can do that as well. You can stack up those questions in the chat box as well for Q&A. In the end, we will take questions, but I'll try to see if the questions are coming in between, then I'll go into the chat box in between as well. I know there's, a lot of ups and downs going on with the real estate market right now. You see, the values went so crazy high until like beginning of 2021, I guess, 2022, and then things start to kind of, go down, right? Everything started to go down. So there's a lot of anxiety in people about real estate investing. People are confused, concerned, anxious, uncertain, they want to know what we need to do. So our goal here tonight is I want to make sure you are in control, you understand the whole real estate investment process. So just wanted to, make sure I kind of share as much information as I can. So if you stay until the end, we have some things that I want to share with you, some goodies, I guess I call it. So first of all, introduction about myself. I'm Gautam Kapoor. I received my real estate license in 2007. I have over a decade of expertise, knowledge. I've lived, worked in our community within Ontario. I guess I came to Canada in about 2001 from India. And I understand ins and outs of real estate investing. And I know what my clients are looking for. So that's where I'm going to share my experience from that end. Big why for me, you can see in the picture, that's my wife, Preeti. Those are two my kids, Kyle and Aisha. They're both born here in Canada. I've been in real estate for last 17 years. I big give, whenever I have money, I donate Sick Kids Hospital. I've got some money going in monthly, and whenever I have some extra money I make in my real estate, I do like to contribute to Sick Kids Hospital just for the right cause, right? And now I'm going to talk about my real estate portfolio, not to brag about what I have. It's more about I do sell real estate, but I have firsthand experience in owning real estate properties as well. So I'm going to talk about a few properties here. The first picture on the left corner, it's a two triplexes building side by side. Basically, the title got merged in the city. They are in North Bay, Ontario. It's a sixplex right now. So I bought that property almost 4 years ago now. So that's the one I have in North Bay. On the left bottom, I have a duplex, which is in Toronto. I bought about 2.5 years ago. That property I bought was brand new from the builder. That's in North York area. It's basically right where Lawrence and I guess Black Creek, that's where that property is in Toronto. The right picture, it's a single family home I own in Whitby. Basically rented. So that's what I have. Just to share some more properties I have is the top left corner again is a fiveplex in North Bay, Ontario. And I'm going to talk about further like why North Bay. So we will talk about that in a little bit more detail. So these are all multifamily properties, and I do have like single family as I showed you in Toronto area, but all in North Bay are multifamily. So the fiveplex on the left corner, triplex is the second picture on the right. At the bottom, triplex again, and triplex, another one in North Bay. So I basically own like 20 units in North Bay in total. Two properties here, apart from my principal residence, which is in Kleinburg. If you've heard of that area, it's in Vaughan, basically 427 and Major Mackenzie. That's where I live with my family. These are some of my clients who have invested in real estate through me. I mean, left picture, Anil. He is an accountant here in Toronto. He's my accountant as well. But he came to me and I kind of showed some numbers with him about these investment properties. So he kind of bought one, then he liked it, and then he bought two and three and four. He's got four properties he owns in North Bay now. And they are maintained and managed by a local property manager, same way the property manager that I use in North Bay. The middle client, they have Emmanuel and Hilda Innocent is their last name. They are from Vaughan, Ontario. They have investment property in Brampton. I mean, basically a duplex, and they're renting that. They have only in GTA, not exposed to North Bay yet. The right side is Belinda. She lives in Brampton in a townhouse, and she came to me. She said, I'm looking for a second home as an investment property. Then I introduced her to North Bay. She bought a duplex property by refinancing her principal residence here in Brampton, took out the money for the down payment and closing costs, and bought a duplex in North Bay, which was a positive cash flowing property in North Bay. So she just bought that this year. Yeah, 2024 still. So she bought it earlier in this year in February, the closing was. That's when she bought. So my idea here to share like what's good in North Bay. These are some of the properties these clients have purchased, like as I said, duplex on the left side. Anil bought for 285,000, fourplex, 440,000, triplex, 410,000, this triplex, 547,000. And Belinda bought this duplex, which was earlier this year. She paid 320, I believe, for that duplex this year. So just to share that information, I mean, these are some testimonials from all of them. I mean, they like what I kind of did for them, and that's where I thought maybe I'll share the insights and information with the investors out there, right? So you can get some value. So, I mean, this is what I've learned in 17 years, right? A lot of investors screw it up. You know, they kind of invest and they do mistakes. 90% of the time, they end up buying a wrong house or go into a wrong deal, right? So, my job here is to help you to see around corners so that you are most well prepared real estate investor in Ontario, right? So, that's where my kind of aim is today. Mistake number one, I see real estate investors don't invest in multifamily properties. So, I mean, which is kind of a drawback. I got exposed to multifamily about almost 5 years ago. That's when I started into seeing the potential, and how I ended up in North Bay was then I kind of did my analysis. The rental market has to be hot in that area. Like vacancy rate should be almost 0%. I mean, which is in North Bay. Rental market's very hot because local people who are living there want to rent. They don't have the down payment to buy, and they have no intentions to buy. So they live in these rental properties. Um, the other thing I was looking for about decent population, about 50,000 population, which will give us the property prices being reasonable, even though North Bay prices have gone up quite high. I'll show you a graph down the road where you can see how it has grown over in last 5 years. A lot of investors have gone in and invested in those properties because they are positive cash flowing properties, and they are much at a much better price point compared to what we get in Toronto. I'm not saying discouraging Toronto by any means. Yes, I mean, if you have the bandwidth or the room, financial room in your kind of expenses and all that, you can buy a second property here, third property here. But I think the North Bay is a very lucrative market in a way where it's 0% vacancy rate. You buy properties at very kind of reasonable prices, and then you can have them, in for a long time in your portfolio because they are depositing positive cash flow money into your bank account every month. So they are not you're not losing any money. So basically, that's the intent here, why I kind of went to North Bay. So this is again, avoiding multifamily residential properties is a mistake. because people stick to single family, and you know what happened, right? With the interest rates, how far they went up high. Now we are kind of going into the down market, but a lot of people were negative cash flowing, so they got into trouble a lot of times, right? So multifamily properties offer more units, higher cash flow, which I'm going to even share numbers of the property. I have a new client who is here in Richmond Hill. He bought a triplex through me in Northway, Ontario. It hasn't closed yet. It's closing in January of 2025. January 8th is the closing date. But I'll show you some of the numbers that how much cash flow he's making from that property down the road. So I'm going to show that to you as well. So you get a cash flow, you lower your vacancy risks as well, right? Because if you got 3 units in that triplex, if one unit kind of tenant leaves, you have it empty for a month, you still got rent coming in, which will cover your mortgage, your expenses also for the property, including your property managers management. So these properties, I'm maintaining them, living in one, completely hands off with a local property manager there. We do pay him a good fee, so he makes money, but he takes care of the properties very well. He collects rents from the tenants on first of the month. He deposits the rents into my account. So I just got money deposited into my account yesterday for all these properties. He deposited like almost like 12,000 into one account, and the other one got about 6,000. So I got about $18,000 deposited into my account every month. So that's, and from the where I pay all the bills, basically like property taxes, all the bills, and I'm going to show you in spreadsheet where it's going to explain all those bills, right? So that's basically, okay, let me go back. Okay, so mistake number two, ignoring cash flow generation, right? So that I see a lot of people, they go into negative cash flow, which is kind of is also not a good thing. um, People buying in Toronto, for example, if some of you or somebody has invested in condos, and condo market's even suffering right now with the oversupply, less demand, right? So all those properties are negative cash flowing, and then even and you still have to pay your property management fee, you still have to pay your property taxes, your mortgage, right? With the high interest rates, a lot of people went into that issue, right? So, but with these properties, even with the highest interest rates, there were positive cash flowing. So they were, making money in the long run. So negative cash flow leads to long-term losses. I mean, that's what I'm trying to kind of emphasize here. Prioritize properties that cover expenses and generate profit monthly with the positive cash flow. So they can just basically, you invest your down payment, which is 20%, and then you forget it, right? It's just going to keep depositing money into your account every month and every month, and carry on. And yes, the properties appreciate as well in North Bay. It's not only you're relying on cash flow only, you're getting your cash flow, you're getting your appreciation. And the third thing you're getting is your principal recapture, the principal amount you're paying toward your mortgage. So that is also, you're building that up as well. So you're basically making money in three different ways in those properties, which helps in the long run. That's what I've kind of found. And I'm sharing that with my clients here living in GTA, right? Greater Toronto area. That's where I'm kind of bringing these properties to them. Mistake number three, I see like people, they hire a very cheap property management company, and that doesn't work very well. Hiring a wrong property manager can lead into, your tenant issues, late rent, property damage by tenants, because there's the property manager not screening the tenants very well. He's not very responsive in case of, any issues come up with tenants or trying to get hold of the property manager. That's where all of these issues come in, right? So those things can result in high vacancies, lost revenue, right? And I'm telling you, my properties all being in North Bay, not been even a one unit vacant for even a single day. If somebody tenant gives me a notice, my property manager is after it. He puts it on his local sites and all that, ready to rent again, right? So all we do is basically, and he has always found good tenants. He does a very good job in screening them, checking their credit score, your income verifications and everything. He does all the reference checks and everything. So he brings in every tenant. He does a very good job in screening those tenants. So we don't have any issues bringing new tenants on board. And he always have tenants lined up when previous tenants have kind of left the unit. We just do is basically he does like charge $100 for cleaning and just get the new tenant moved in, right? So vetting property manager thoroughly is a very, very kind of, good thing to do. Checking the reviews, experience and their references, very, very important thing. So we are using same property manager for last 5 years. The same thing, I recommend him to my clients as well. I mean, it's not they're obligated to it. I mean, I don't get anything out of it. Basically, they are paying him directly from for their properties. But idea is I introduce him to them as well, and then it's up to them to deal with them. So far, everybody's dealing with them with the same property manager. I mean, and he's got a reputable company. He's managing a lot of units in North Bay, but he's very responsive. He's very good in finding good tenants there. Let me just pause it right there. I'm just gonna go back to the chat and say if there are any questions here. Somebody's put in. I mean, okay, I don't see any questions there, but feel free to put in your questions in the chat. I'll come back to it in the end as well and answer them, right? So that's the idea here, that I want to share the information. Um, how's everybody feeling so far? Are you getting some value out of this? I mean, are you getting some good information? I just want to basically see, I mean, give me some thumbs up or something just to make sure you're on board with me. Like, okay, I see comment from Taylor. Yeah, great, good stuff. Yeah, that's good so far. Okay, good. That's good. That's what I just want to make sure, right? I'm providing some value. And just one more thing. I mean, I just have basically, if you think there is a value in this and you want to discuss more about it, I have like basically I can share my calendar here. And if you want to book on one-on-one with me, like you can just go to my calendar directly. You can book a one-on-one call with me at a convenient time with you, Zoom call. We'll get on a Zoom quickly. I'll review your situation and see how I can help. And does it make sense for you to invest in these properties or does it not? Like, so you can just go ahead and book that meeting through me and we can have a private one-on-one. These properties, I mean, I'm not suggesting these are for everybody, but basically all my clients and even like the client in Brampton, Belinda, I mean, I went to see her to give her the home value for her home because she was thinking that if she can move into another home. And then she brought up this concept of investment property. She said she wants to invest into. And I said, well, then I can help you with that. I have these properties, they're positive cash flowing. She's like, okay, let's explore more. And that's where we talked and figured it out. And there was some equity built in her property in her principal residence. I said, you can refinance and take that equity out. She took about, I think about $75,000 out of her principal home, invested in this duplex, which is making her money every month, positive cash flow. Mistake number four, a lot of times I see investors, they don't estimate the expenses very well. So they do screw up. They are not looking at maintenance of these properties. So that's very key, important feature as well, right? So when I bring these properties to any of my clients, one thing is that, yeah, I mean, the numbers make sense. Then we put a conditional offer, but then we go through the finance approval process. We do the thorough home inspection also just to find out if there's any maintenance issues that we have to tell the seller to take care of them beforehand so we don't get into any surprises or any issues down the road. We look for property taxes, like how much are they, right? So management fees, we calculate in our calculations. Insurance costs, we calculate, so we don't want to miss any. Utilities, like we watch if there's any utilities paid by us, we kind of, put them in, all the numbers in to calculate our cash flow and who's paying, because sometimes it could be our tenants paying the hydro, for example, and then that hydro expense is all paid by the tenant. So then we don't have to, count that in our expenses. But if landlord is responsible for any expenses, any utilities like water, we would put that in. Snow removal. I mean, we're in North Bay, we're talking, winter gets harsh there a little bit. So snow removal expense has to be there because somebody has to clean the snow. So I calculate those also in our numbers, right? So that's the idea here, not to miss any numbers, right? So mistake number four, not setting up the corporation. So this is also an interesting kind of thing. You can do a lot of things with the corporation. I mean, I'm not an accountant by any means. I'm not a lawyer. I am basically a real estate agent. You still need to have, discuss your individual situation with your accountant and lawyer. And if you need a good accountant and a good lawyer, I can recommend, no issues at all. And you can talk to them, or your own lawyer or your own accountant, and see how corporation can help you when you're buying these properties. All my properties, for your information, in Toronto and GTA are under my name and my wife's name, but the properties in North Bay are in corporations. And then I have set up two corporations there for all the properties now we have, because I don't want to put all the value or all the assets in one corporation. So I kind of have set my limit in one corporation, which my number in my head is $5 million. So once the assets are valued $5 million, then I open up a next corporation. And second one, yeah, I mean, there's extra work we have to do, make sure end of the year we have to pay taxes and things like that. But at least there's less exposure of risk to tenants also, from our tax advantage point of view, which you can again discuss with your accountant. But it does help. You can show all your expenses in detail that you have. Even, let's say, when I started with my first property, I took money out of my principal home from my HELOC, home equity line of credit. If some of you know that, basically, once you have equity in your home, you can borrow money from that as a line of credit. And then that's how I started buying these properties. I took money from my HELOC, home equity line of credit, and invested that as a 20% down payment for a property in North Bay. That's how I bought my first one, and second one and third on. The idea there was basically, even the interest I was paying for my HELOC, I was capturing that, deducting it end of the year from corporation, making money, saying, okay, I'm paying all this interest, right? So, and also this positive cash flow you can offset into taking the money back from the corporation account to your personal account, saying, well, I have lent money to the corporation. So if I'm Gautam Kapoor, I have given $100,000 to my corporation as borrowing, and then corporation need to pay that back to me. So I kind of take on, like, okay, corporation is going to pay me $1,000 a month every month to me, so I can pay back my home equity line of credit, right? So you can do a lot of those things. There's a lot of options there. But again, like I said, I'm not accountant, so I don't want to give you any financial advice from accountant perspective. But there are advantages in setting up the corporation, right? So holding personally properties increases liability, tax burdens, like as I pointed out, and you would miss on tax advantages and even asset protection as well, right? So, and my tip here is consult a lawyer or accountant to structure your investments through a corporation, right? They can guide you that how you can have a real estate corporation one, real estate corporation two and three, and things like that, to help you with your taxes, again, from liability perspective as well. If something happens, I mean, not that it has happened ever or whatever, but it's just like, you have protection, and you have kind of from liability perspective, right? So that's the idea there for the cost setting up the corporation. So I'm just going to go back to the chat again, just to kind of make sure I'm not missing any questions. I mean, if anybody has any kind of questions, I mean, just again, put it in the chat. I'll come back and answer. Even if you want to raise your hand, raise up your hand. I'll bring you on the call as well, and you can ask your question verbally too. No problem. I'm open to that now or later. It doesn't matter. I want you to get value out of this session. That's the idea, because you've invested your time in here, right? So I don't want you to be just like, going with the flow, but just make sure you get some value out of it. Um, okay, so yeah, these were the things I wanted to basically share. I'll quickly go over recap. Invest in multifamily properties, generate positive cash flow. I'm going to share numbers in Excel file. Just hang in there. Hire a great property manager. Calculate all monthly expenses. Make sure you're not missing anything. And even when I do kind of, write up offers to buy these properties, I even go to the city, confirm zoning, because if somebody's saying this triplex, I mean, is it a legal triplex? I need to validate that, right? So we go to city for zoning department to confirm that it's a legal triplex, right? So we don't have run into those issues that, well, how we have some properties here in GTA where basements apartments are not legal, right? So want to make sure if it's a triple X, it's a legal triple X. Registering for a corporation, as I said. So talk to your accountant, lawyer, but there is a way to go. There are advantages when you have a corporation. Focus on three things, like I already said, that cash flow, principal recapture, the principal money you are paying when you're paying into the mortgage, and appreciation, property appreciation. I'll share an appreciation graph in North Bay as well as to what happened. This area was very lucrative like 5 years ago. Property values were very low, but in last 5 years, a lot of investors from GTA, from Barrie, from Aurelia have kind of explored this area and has realized their properties are really good value and they make positive cash flow to everybody. So hence they ended up going there, and you will see on the graph, it'll show you the prices have jumped quite a bit. Yeah, here is the my income and expense kind of the way to look at. This is a recent example. This is the triplex that one of my client has purchased. If you can see on the right side, unit one, 3 bedroom, rented for $1,800 plus hydro, because hydro is paid by the tenant. Unit two, 1 bedroom, 945 plus hydro. Unit three, 2 bedroom, 1425, rented again. And all these tenants have been there long term, right? Only the 2 bedroom unit had the tenants there from like about a year and a half ago, but the rest of them 3 years. The other tenants there for like almost 4.5, 5 years. So they fully rented triplex, making 4170 per month on the rent on the right side. $50,000 a year is the income. So, and 5890 is price. I'm gonna put it in here, but my client had purchases at $580,000, right? So that was the actual price he paid. Okay, so you need to get mortgage for 80%, $472,000, down payment 118,000 for this property, and that's the rent. Vacancy zero because all three units are rented, and they're kind of good tenants taking care of the units. We put an offer out there, conditional on financing inspection. We did the inspection, and some minor issues came up, which we given it to sellers, and sellers is fixing those issues as we speak right now. He's got time until next week, Friday, to fix all the issues and take care of them, which he's doing. And then finance, we've kind of did the waiver because finance got approved. And by the way, banks love these properties because these are positive cash flowing. These will help you in getting your mortgage because portion of this rent they can count towards income, and they will add this income to your income to qualify you for a mortgage. So these becomes easier to qualify to get a mortgage. Okay. So I added property tax, insurance I added, gas. There is no gas on the property, all baseboard electric heaters. So tenants paying the hydro. So that's why hydro cost is nothing as well. Property management fee. I mean, it's 9% is what we pay to that property manager. I mean, if you own more than so many properties, I think he gives more discount. He goes to like 8% or something like that. But the beginning rate is 9% of the rent. He collects the rent, he deducts that maintenance fee, and then he deposits the balance. That's what he does. Water for the year, 1665. Snow removal, about $3,000 for this property. We calculated that in. So all expenses amounted to, hot water tank was owned in this property, so there was no expense. So that's why I put in zero there. 13,000 was the expense. So basically $36,511 was the net operating income after taking care of all the expenses. So monthly mortgage amount, this is also a number that I put in, like with 5% interest rate, the mortgage payments 2,500, and then your annual mortgage payment. So net cash flow $500 I put in here, positive here. But actually my client's making more than that because he got 580 for the price. So this mortgage is gonna drop. Second, his 3-year mortgage rate that he got through my mortgage broker. I have mortgage brokers as well. I have a mortgage broker who works full time with CIBC Bank. She can approve you, no problem, give you very good competitive rates. You can take it to your bank and they can give you a mortgage, no problem. Then I have a mortgage broker as well that I deal in case I need to go to a mortgage broker and for looking for options as well. He's an independent broker. So actual rate that he got for 3 years right now is 4.34%. So this payment dropped big time. I think it came to about $2,000, right? So and then that what that did to his cash flow jumped from $500 to $1,000 a month. So that's what he invested, $118,000 down payment, and he's making about $1,000 a month positive in his bank account coming, right? And then again, I explained in the structure of the corporations and all. He's in a process that he's gonna register a new corporation and kind of do all the things, but his mortgage got approved as well, so he's buying this property. So just to share that I do thorough analysis on these properties with numbers. I don't miss anything. I mean, I kind of put in all the numbers in the spreadsheet and give you this. If the numbers make sense, then we go to the next step. I kind of, show pictures if I have any to the client as well. Then we will put a conditional offer, taking like 2 weeks for our financing inspection in order. And first we go through financing. Once financing gets approved, then we do the home inspection and we go through that process and then we remove the conditions, right? So in the meantime, we are doing our due diligence. That's very important also, right? So when it's in conditional period, making sure these numbers are valid, getting all the bills from the seller as proof, like, okay, give me your insurance bill, give me your property tax bill, copy, right? So getting all the leases from them so that way to validate all the numbers, right? So when it's in conditional period. So any questions related to this kind of, analysis? Let me go to again the chat here. Thanks for sharing. Minimum cost of multifamily house I could purchase in Thunder Bay, North Bay, I mean. Yeah, so if you're looking for a duplex, you can get something about 300, 350 max, 350,000. Triplex could go depending on how much positive cash it's flowing, right? Right now, there's even a duplex you can get for 410,000 also. It all depends on how much positive money you are making from that property. So the properties range anywhere starts from 300K, goes up to 600, and if you're going to multiplexes. And for everybody's information, up any properties up to fourplex are counted residential. Anything above fourplex, banks tend to call them as commercial, even though they're not commercial, but they tend to call them as commercial, which means there's a different approval process. Also, you have to basically, you will get higher mortgage interest rate as well. So my sixplex mortgage is not with the bank. My sixplex mortgage I got is through Desjardins, and got this through CMHC, Special Financing Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. Special financing, I got like 40-year amortization on that, got a very good rate on that mortgage as well. So those multiplexes, anything above 4 units, there's a lot of programs available out there, and I have a mortgage agent who deals with multifamily above 4 units, like which go into this commercial space. And that's where also is a good opportunity if you can get into paying like 700K, 800K, you can get. So my sixplex, which I bought 4 years ago, I paid about 715,000 for that sixplex, and it's positive cash flowing. All units are rented fully, no issues at all. We had two tenants we have changed over where rents were quite low. We've even jacked up the rents to bring them to market rents. That's what we did, right? So that helped with the positive cash flow to make it even more worthwhile. The fiveplex recently that I purchased about 2 years, 2.5 years ago, that one I paid about 900,000 for that fiveplex, just to give you the idea of price range. But you can start as low as 300K for a duplex, goes to 400K, you can get good property, positive cash flowing. 500K, you can get a triplex. 600K is a triplex. 700 and above, you can get into multiplexes, right? Like you can get fiveplex, sixplex, like that. So That's the idea there. And also just to share with everybody, my property manager, he's very good, very knowledgeable with the landlord tenant board process. So anytime if somebody is not paying rent, I had an issue with one tenant in that sixplex. So the lady wasn't paying rent. She was paying like $1,000 rent. All of a sudden she stopped paying. So, and as soon as she stopped paying, my property manager gave her the N form the required from landlord tenant board that she's not paying the rent, and filed with LTB, landlord tenant board. I have access to my portal, so we kind of share that through my information being the landlord. So he filed that application. We got a date like 4 months out, video hearing, where I went on the call, my property manager joined the call. Also, the tenant came on the call, and basically, the tenant had no plan to pay. So she was just like going through disability, and she had applied the benefits, but she got declined, and there were a lot of issues going on. But, anyways, in the end, 5 months out, we got eviction notice from landlord tenant board. So in within that 5 months, basically, she didn't pay me the rent, so I lost $5,000. But we rented that unit. I paid about $5,000 to renovate that unit, to upgrade, and then we rented that unit for 21-25. So that's how low her rent was, and even though she wasn't able to pay, so we jacked up rent. I recovered my money in like 5 months, right? Basically, because if she stayed there, she would pay me $1,000 a month, right? So we have to have a little bit of investor mindset when we are dealing with G tenants. But my property manager is very good. He knows this process. Even I learned from him a lot through landlord tenant board. I mean, what do I need to say? What do I need to go? We prepped for the call beforehand. So we kind of exactly know going into the call, if you have to deal with the landlord tenant board issue, then you at least you're kind of familiar. So this is basically the analysis that I do on every property that I bring it to my clients, thorough analysis. So there is not even a single number that is missed. So there are no surprises down the road. That's my idea here. I want to be very transparent. If property is not making money, I would be upfront in saying, well, this property, because I had a client, now I'm talking to another person here who wants to buy a property in North Bay. And yesterday he sent me something. He said, what about this property? I looked up in realtor.ca, Gautam. So I said, I will run the numbers, put them through spreadsheet. Why I didn't show you that property was because the numbers do not make sense. So I ran them through my calculation sheet here, and the cash flow on that was pretty much next to nothing, like $100 a month. And then there were some things where landlord was paying, gas, which was quite high, and things like that, right? So and that's where I kind of do the thorough analysis. As an expert, I can guide you through. I have first-hand experience. I mean, I'm a realtor, of course. I mean, I get paid from the seller as a commission to sell these properties. But the idea here is that I'm sharing value in a way that I do my thorough analysis. I be very transparent with all my clients, and that's what I kind of do, right, for a living. Yeah, thank you. I mean, I appreciate you taking the time to consult. I mean, basically, I hope this was, valuable information for you. If you want to come on the call, anybody, I mean, happy to kind of take any calls from anybody, any questions you guys have. I'm just going to share one more thing. I know I kind of said the graph here. If you see this graph, this is basically, I'm looking at North Bay. I mean, if I close this, I mean, this is the whole kind of the area in Ontario, like all it. So basically in Ontario, there's a lot of real estate boards under it, but I'm gonna pull North Bay here. This is a live graph that we kind of follow. So this is North Bay. If you look at it, the property values in like 2019, the average price was about 215,000, right? And look at the value where it has gone now. Like this is January 2022 when the prices were peaked out. 467,000 it went to, then came down 425, 377. Now things are going back up again. If you see the trend from here, it's going towards this, but it hasn't reached that, but it is slowly going up. Look, right now, average price 420 right there. And this covers all property types in North Bay, right? And it's single family, multifamily, everything. So this is like the monthly kind of graph. If I do rolling 12 months, it'll probably give me like a trend line. So if you see the trend line, where the prices were in 2019, as I said, the area wasn't very much exposed. So a lot of people didn't know North Bay existed, right? And for your contacts, it's about 3 hours drive from where I am in Vaughan. So in Toronto, basically, if you're going from Toronto, GTA anywhere, let's say Brampton or Richmond Hill or whatever, it's 3.5 hours. But from my place, I just take 400 north. It's about 3 hours drive. So, and that's also very good in a way to keep my property manager honest, right? So if there's an issue and he tells me, Gautam, there's a issue, this issue with this property, I can drive up in 3 hours. And he knows that. And I've done that to validate just to make sure he's honest. Also, let's say there's a small drywall issue or drywall cut that he need to fix. He can't tell me that it's going to cost me $2,000 to fix it, because I can drive and look it up there and say, okay, well, this doesn't look a $2,000 job to me. This is probably a couple of $100 or whatever. So he knows, I mean, but at least I can go, I can touch my properties, I can take a look. I go there every kind of summer, probably 3, 4 rounds. I was there showing this other triple X to my client about a month ago. Now we got a snowstorm last weekend there, but otherwise, I mean, in summer, it's a beautiful place. There is Lake Nipissing there. I mean, if you get chance to visit, it's a beautiful area to visit for a picnic or whatever. And the way I do it is leave in the morning like 9 o'clock from home here, get there 12 o'clock, go meet property managers, see properties, whatever I need to do, drive by other properties, take a look, talk to property manager again, and leave from there like 1 o'clock, then have some, quick thing to eat, lunch, whatever, and then drive back, and I'm back by like 5, 6 o'clock maximum at my home, right? In one. So that's how I do. So some people do ask me, like, well, what about investing in Alberta, investing in Calgary, investing in New Brunswick? And all my take on that is they're not bad places to invest by any means. My only thought, and this is the thought I kind of went with, I want to touch the properties, feel the properties. I can drive within the same day. I can go, come back. That's the point I keep in mind. I do not want to be, well, it's New Brunswick. I need to, it's a 15 hours drive, 14 hours drive. Then I have to think twice, because if I've got something important going on here and I can't go. So in those cases, North Bay is very accessible. I can, get there in 3 hours and come back same day. So that's kind of basically my kind of rationale and thought behind. Anybody have any questions in regards to this graph that I'm sharing here? Properties value basically have more than doubled now in last, if you can look at just from even 2020, for example, to 2020, we're almost approaching 2025. Within last 5 years, the values have almost more than doubled, right? So that's what you see the graph sitting above 400. It was more 200, between 200 and 250. So it's basically just double the price. That's what I can share this information with you. This is a live graph. I can check it any area that I want. If you want me to check, like, for example, Toronto, and I can search Toronto, and it'll tell me the Toronto graph, basically what happened, average price from 2019, and where it's kind of floating around. And this is based on 12 months if I do monthly, and this is what Toronto's graph is doing, right? So condos, mean in Toronto, I mean, that's not doing very well, but this is where we're at, right? In the condo market here. Let me just do again, if this fluctuation show too much, but this is where we're at. And with the condo, they peaked out in right here in 2022, and then they started to go down. They picked up a little bit, but I think they still, the trend is coming down right now, because inventory we have is so much out there that it's going to take years to get rid of that inventory, and that's when prices will start to go up again. But until that happens, it is kind of a little bit of nightmare in condos. Any other questions anybody has? I mean, I don't see any questions in the chat. Go back here again. Again, I mean, if you see value, book a meeting one-on-one with me. That doesn't cost you anything. There is no obligation on anybody that you guys have to purchase a property for sure. We just will talk together and see if we can talk through a phone call, or we can do a quick Zoom call. Basically, the idea is to understand where you are with your real estate journey. You own your principal residence. Do you have equity built in? And that's where we need to kind of figure out, right? So I got a question here, which is an excellent question. Can you share any challenges you have experienced so far? Perfect. Good point there. Challenges again, because some of these properties are rented, right? So the challenge could be that they are rented at a low market rent, right? So basically, even those tenants know that they are paying below market rents. I have some of the units rented for example, like that lady was paying $1,000 a month, right? So, and then it happened to be she went through some struggle period in her life and she was not able to pay, and we went through the landlord tenant board and kind of progressed her eviction and kind of did the tenant changeover, jacked up the rent to 21, 25. But some of these buildings I have where the tenants are paying same thing. Like for a two-bedroom unit, I have a tenant paying like 850 or $900, where I can get easily $1,400. I have some three-bedroom units where tenants are paying like same thing $1,000, and I can easily make 2,100 out of that unit. I know, so they are undervalued. But I really can't do anything. I do what I do basically, and my property manager does basically every year. He goes through and puts in the rent increase that is allowed in Ontario. Like this year, it was 2.5%. So we give notices to everybody. Well, effective January 1st, your rent's going up by 2.5%. So we are collecting that increase. The challenge there only is that these people, they're living paycheck to paycheck, right? So some tenants mean time to time get behind on rent, but they know they're paying way below market, so they don't want to lose the unit or lose their home, because they know that if they go out on the market, the two-bedroom unit that they're paying $900 for, they won't get anything below $1,600 or $1,700, right? So it's their best benefit to pay their rent on time. So that's why they're pretty good in paying their rent. I mean, I don't have any issues. I do run time to time, like some tenant would run behind, but they get caught up within like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they will pay and come back and on there, right? So any other challenges? I mean, I don't have any other challenge other than, I mean, winter gets cold there and it gets harder to travel in winter, but which I try to avoid anyways. I don't go there so much in winter, but I mean, I can. I mean, it's not a big deal. You need to have snow tires on, and there's not too much traffic on Highway 11 once you cross 400, whatever. And it's a good drive if it's, nice, bright sunshine. Why not? We could do that anytime, all day, year of the year kind of thing. That's the only thing. Otherwise, I mean, I don't see any challenges. Um, Properties are getting pricier day by day. That's all I see, right? So, yeah, so I did share my calendar. Here is again, and I put it in the chat here. Just book your meeting. Like I said, there is no obligation. It's just, we will just talk, see if it's a fit together. Then I can kind of explore, share my properties with you and say this is what I have right now, because there's a duplex, I think, available for like 400 for 10,000. The numbers make sense. Both units are empty actually. And one thing more I will share, if you can get a property with an empty unit, you can basically, hire Jim, or Jim is my property manager. He can, the way I set up is, and not all properties I took like fully rented. I took some, yes, they were fully rented. Some I took like empty buildings, and all I did basically was fully renovated. I took them as empty. So what I did was basically gave it to Jim and said, Jim, you're gonna rent the property from first on to the tenants you're gonna screen. And my closing date is on second of, for example, with the month, right? So then we are already starting at a market rent. So the cash flow becomes really, really good, because you can basically get, like I said, three-bedroom, you can get 2,100 easily. If it's even a bigger place, you can get $2,500, $2,600 as well. Like if it's like a house, for example. But two-bedroom, again, depending how big the unit is, could vary from 1,400 to 16, 1,700. Some of my two-bedroom units are 1,675 now. almost $1,700 rent on 2 bedrooms, and tenants paid plus hydro as well. And so it's even becomes even more better if I get them empty, because then I can rent them from day one at market rents, right? So I'm not losing any money. Otherwise, jacking up rent, you have to go by the same 2.5%, 2.5%, and that's what you have to do, right? I mean, that you really nothing you can do about it. Like somebody asked about the challenge, that is a challenge too, right? I mean, the our inflation was 5%, 6%, but our rent increase was allowable only 2%, 2.5%. So we can't go above that limit. So we have to stick to the rules, I guess. But that's all we do. But that's same everywhere in Ontario. That's not, I would say, the more challenging North Bay. I mean, and good thing is the rental market is good. So vacancy rate is next to nothing, because you just put it on, he puts it on his sites and all that. Units get rented right away. Like this lady that we had, I said, got evicted. Then we got eviction notice. She left the unit, and then Jim went in, changed the lock, and we did renovations. We took like 3 weeks to renovate, and then he had somebody lined up right after the renovation. He started showing even within the renovation, and said this unit's going to be ready from this date. And then first of the following month, we rented at 21, 25. Very good tenant and paying the rent on time, no issues at all, paying their hydro and everything too, right? So and also some of the properties you could even look at if you've got some good contractor there. I mean, Jim's got good contacts there. I mean, he's got good contractors there as well. I usually work with him and say, okay, get me an estimate on this if I need to upgrade something, if I need to do this or I need to do that. One of my buildings had like furnace broke down or something, and it was really old furnace, and the guy said it's not worth putting money into it. So we want to basically, you should get a new furnace. So I said, I don't want to invest $3,000 in a new furnace. Tell me what's the rental rate for the furnace. He said it's about $50. And I said, okay, yeah, just add in the $50. I'll get $50 less cash flow in my monthly payments, but then let it pay itself. Rental always maintained furnace. It's never having issues or whatever. So got a brand new furnace for the unit, for the house. I mean, pretty good. It's triplex, and got heat back to the tenants, no issues at all. And Jim coordinated everything there himself. I didn't have to even go and check the furnace is there or not. He sent me pictures that here it is, tenants happy and saying thank you. So that's how I kind of maintain it, right? So he's very handy that way, but you can always do value add to some of these properties. If you think, let's say, you want to add a laundry, if there's no laundry in the building to a unit, you can do that. My sixplex that I showed you have got basically coin laundry in both of the triplex buildings. So in the basement units, there is one room there, there's a coin laundry there, coin laundry in the other one. So we make fun. I mean, whenever I drive up, Jim kind of gives me a bag of coins, which he says, give it to your kids to kind of roll them into, those packets that we have to deposit to the bank on. I mean, he does that. I mean, I just every few months, whenever I go, I collect that $400-500 and bring it with me, whatever. Sometimes he rolls it up and he just kind of deposits into my bank account as well. So he does that. He's very honest that way. So it's basically you can add those things type, into the units. If building doesn't have a laundry, I mean, maybe you can put a, laundry in the basement. Like for coin laundry, you can make money out. Or you can tell them, okay, I'm gonna get you a laundry. Can I jack up your rent? But again, talk to the tenants first through Jim and say, well, if I do this, are you willing to up the rent by $50, $100? No point investing in if tenants are going to say, well, no, I'm not going to pay anymore. So we have to have a little bit of that investor mindset that we can invest in those units, but we need to see a return coming back, right? That's the idea here that I kind of do. Any other last minute questions from anybody? And like I said, I mean, if, through our discovery call, if we figure out that you need some help from mortgage agent, like my bank mortgage agent that I have all my mortgages with CABC for especially the 3 units and below, all are with CABC Bank. I will introduce. I'm happy to introduce my mortgage agent to you. I can introduce my mortgage broker as well, who does mortgages. I can introduce even the commercial mortgage guy as well from Desjardins. I mean, he did my mortgage. So I can introduce, I mean, I have a lot of resources. I can introduce you to lawyers, accountants, I mean, you name it, right? They're all in GTA here. And then you can connect with them. And if you have your own contacts, you can deal with them as well. There is no kind of, that I will just refer them to you. You deal with them directly, figure out your options. I kind of recommend them because they've done mortgages on similar properties, so they're very well familiar of this North Bay area. And my kind of mortgage agent, I mean, her name is Lana from CIBC. She kind of laughs always. She's like, Gautam, I don't know where you bring these properties, but we love them because lenders have no issues giving mortgage against these properties because they're making money. The positive cash flowing. Even this triple X we bought for 580, she told me the appraisal came at 600,000. So as soon as the client bought it, he's got 20,000 equity right there. And they look at what the rent is and give their appraisal based on the rental rates and everything. And that's how we kind of go about it, right? So it's basically investing. Real estate investment is the way to go to make money. And I always say real estate investment is not a short game, right? You have to invest them for a long time. And these properties help you do exactly that. You don't have to pull them out because they're making money to you, positive cash flow. Enough of the talking my end. I mean, any other questions from anybody? I see some people join late, and I didn't keep track of time that way. It's almost 8 o'clock. Thank you, everybody, for giving an hour to me today. But as I said, book a one-on-one meeting again. I will put my calendar in chat. Book your meeting, and no harm in that. There's no obligation. We'll just connect, talk, and see if it's the right fit for you. If these positive cash flowing properties make sense for you, I will kind of support you or help you with that. If they don't, then we'll kind of move on in our lives. No issues, no obligation from anybody. Anybody want to come on the unmute? I can do and ask any questions directly. I'm not hitting any, but if anybody is want to come on, I'm happy to take them on. No issues at all. Like Annie, Taylor, I mean Sanjay, I mean Dakan, I'm mispronouncing your name maybe. Ashish, I mean any questions anybody has, I mean happy to kind of take on, you can go off mute, ask questions directly. But I've been doing this for last 17 years. My realtor license been valid for last 17 years and I've been doing this. Okay, if no more questions, thank you everybody. Have a good night. I mean, hopefully we'll see you around the other side. If you book, one-on-one call with me, I will do a phone call, quick discussion if you need to get on. I'll help you. I mean, if you're just starting, don't hesitate. I mean, bring up all your questions. There is no questions which are stupid. Bring all your questions, set up a call. We'll talk through, I'll guide you through as much as I can because I'll give you all the information that I know of, right? So, and I have other contact professionals to deal with, for example, mortgage broker, lawyer, accountant. I can introduce you to them as well to talk if I'm not able to answer any questions, but I will be able to answer to my best ability because I have first-hand experience being realtor licensed, plus I own these properties myself, right? Okay, Taylor, thank you. And yeah, set up a call and no more obligation there. And we'll go to next step if it makes sense to move forward for you. Because everybody's scenario is different for sure. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. Wonderful session. I'm glad I didn't miss this. And it was very informative. And yeah, thank you very much for sharing your experience.
Yeah.
And yeah, so basically, what's called like, yeah, I'll also like to like book a one-on-one with you. And yeah, may I just ask a simple question?
Go
You
ahead.
said you did your research before you actually picked out like Thunder Bay.
Correct.
To invest, right?
Yeah.
Um, so currently, are you looking at maybe like other areas, or are you seeing like other opportunity in some other places, or is it just Thunder Bay for now? Oh, North Bay. Sorry, North Bay.
North Bay, yeah, yeah. Thunder Bay is even further up north. I mean, North Bay is only 3 hours.
Yeah,
Thunder Bay is even more, more north, extreme north.
I
That's the
know.
middle of nowhere. Yes.
Middle of nowhere. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So North Base, I've got good experience, good contacts. I mean, I know the town very well. I know the rental market and everything. Not that my license is valid in all over Ontario, or I can get you a property in Windsor, I can get you a property in London, Ontario, I can get properties in St. Catharines and all. Like anything close to GTA, if you think about now, GTA is expanded even to even like, you go on that side is like Ajax, Whitby, Oshawa, on that side, Bowmanville. This side, you go always to Hamilton, St. Catherine, Niagara Falls. The price point is just not there. What I was looking for when I did my research was I spent kind of money. I think I spent probably like, I can't remember, $10,000 in some attending some seminars and doing that research before I started this and explored this area. So, and 50,000 population was my guide go to my first way because that gives you the right price point. You're not overpaying for a property, right? Also, then second other thing I was looking for was the rental market has to be really, really good, right? So that was my second point. My third point was I wanted a town where it's not, these are not student rentals, right? Like I'm not dealing with students. I'm dealing here with the families who gonna pay me rent on regular basis and low maintenance properties that I don't have to, be have a headache or whatever. You can own a student rental, for example, in Guelph, Waterloo, Kitchener. I mean, again, prices are higher. You will make even more money, but again, you will pay hefty money in property management, right? Like, Airbnb is even next thing where people invest, but again, you pay higher property management rates. So 50,000 population is where I kind of have a good experience with North Bay because I learned, I kind of went on. But I mean, I'm open to exploring other, options as well. I mean, you can, if you have some area in mind, you want me to do a research on, happy to do that. No problem at all. You just tell me this town, what do you think about this town, Gautam? I'll come up with the stats and I will have to run all these graphs just to make sure that, okay, appreciation is there, right? Number two, the rental market is strong, right? There's zero vacancy rate almost. That's my next thing, right? So that's what I'm looking for. I hope I answered your question there.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much.
No
Thank you.
worries.
Really appreciate that. Then I'll look forward to the one-on-one meeting with you so that we can talk more.
Definitely. Good point there. Ashish, I
Yeah.
mean, I know you joined late. I mean, I will be uploading this recording. I'm recording this session, so I will be uploading that. You'll be able to watch the recording and reach out for any questions.
I was in for most part of the meeting. Yeah, I
Oh, is
was
it right?
in.
Okay, good,
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, and yeah, recording link will be populated there as well. And you will get a text saying, okay, there's a recording link there, and you guys can rewatch as well. No issues at all. Okay.
So where can I find the recording link, Gautam?
Recording link will be, hang on a second here. Good question there. I'm gonna upload into the same, hang on, let me just, I have it here. Second, 1 second here. Just gonna, because it's gonna have webinar replay. That's where the recording link's gonna be. Hold on, let me just share even the link if you're kind of looking for. I'm going there right now. See here. So if I'm gonna upload here, so this is the page where the recording will be there. So I'll just put in here in the chat. It's not there right now, but once I end the recording and I'll upload it, probably tomorrow you should be able to access. So this will be the recording session there available. Okay.
Okay, great. You're sharing on the chat, right?
Yeah, I shared that on just now. Should be
Uh,
able to see it. Okay.
I'm not able to see the.
I said recording session and I pasted the link there. It won't be there right now.
Okay,
It will be. It will be by like tomorrow. I'll upload that session once I end the recording. Okay.
okay, fine.
Good stuff. Yeah, and always, if still have any questions, I mean, related to real estate, anything in Ontario, want to know what market is doing in GTA overall, feel free to reach out. I mean, book that meeting, like, like I have that booking link in there. Book a meeting one-on-one. I mean, I'll give you a phone call. It can be 5 minutes chat, half an hour, 15 minutes. No problem. If I can give any value, to you in my call, that'll be helpful. If, business is there or not, that's a different story. But at least we can talk, and I'm happy to share my information. Okay. All right. I'm gonna thank you, everybody, and have a good night. I'm gonna end the call right now. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks everyone.
Yeah. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Yeah.